Today, I work for HoopsHype.com, and the other day we released literally 2 days ago, Mr. Michael Scotto. Go check out, link in the description, the article, our aggregate mock draft that we use, the ESPN, the Athletic, Bleacher Report, the Ringer, NBA Big Board, Yahoo Sports, CBS Sports, Sports Illustrated, CB Nation, USA Today's for the win mock drafts to basically create an aggregation on who should be there. As you guys know, Alex R, Nikola, Zachary, Risacher. That's what Risacher, right? Is that right? Dude, I literally learned how to say it the other day, and now I'm like forgetting. Cody Williams, Sheppard. I mean, a lot of people are high on Sheppard. He's been flying up for boards, but let's get right into it. Obviously, Alex R is going to be the number one guy. It's just, look, let me just take a sip of this café con leche, and we'll talk about it. While I take a sip of this café con leche, hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this. Now let's get right into it. Now, let me explain why Alex R is number one. Alex R is number one due to the fact that he's a 7'1" big who has shown there's questions about his motor when he was an overtime elite, but now at the Perth Wildcats, he was a big factor in that. He's a 7'1" guy who helped this team go to the NBL semifinals, and his his shot blocking ability, and he's literally got Jaren Jackson Jr. defensive capabilities in terms of switchability, like that Jaren Jackson Jr. Evan Mobley type defense. That's there. The biggest question with him is offensively, what is he? Is he going to be a guy who's just going to be able to finish inside the rim, or he's shown flashes of being able to step outside from three? Like, again, is he going to be more of a limited version offensively of what we've seen from Evan Mobley now, or is he going to be a 3-and-D guy like Jaren Jackson Jr.? He has the highest impact potential just because of his body, 7'1" mobile guy. That's desired at the NBA. That's why he's one. Next, my boy Zachary. And look, this guy is a 43.8% three-point shooter who is, the way that he looks, I'd be comparing him to like a Michael Porter Jr. with less bounce, like pre-back injury, kind of like Cam Johnson, in terms of they're going to be these, 6'10" snipers who can rebound the ball. But the problem with him is that he's a great catch and shoot guy. He can play off ball well. And he's been able to show, to create a little bit off like a slide step. But the thing with him is that he's not a shot creator. He's not an ISO guy. He's not going to be a guy you want on ball in the NBA. He's kind of trending towards, if he's going to be a guy in the NBA, he's going to stand in the corner and take threes, finish, backdoor cuts and slash. He's not going to be a third or second option. He's probably going to be closer to a fourth option. But he shows some good defensive skills, being 6'10" with his length and his rebounding ability. I think a lot of people like that, where he has a very high floor, maybe not as high as a ceiling as some other guys. And that's the only concern. But he's a fantastic player that I think has been very fun to watch, especially coming out of France. Next up, Nikola. He's the best guard here. Some people are saying he's closer to 6'4", 6'5". He's listed 6'7". He's kind of like the white shade Gilgeous-Alexander. He uses his speed deceptively to get in and out of the paint like nobody else. And I do thoroughly enjoy watching him on a regular basis. I thoroughly do think he has the skill to be a guy who can make some noise and be impactful in terms of, I think he's a guy that's going to come in, he'll need to adjust his shooting, but he shoots 50% from the rim. He's an 87% free throw shooter. His three-point shot is not insane, but I think when you just watch what he can do mentally, and his dad being a former pro player, I think really, 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 really helps. And I understand that his biggest concern is the three-point shot, but with more and more time, I think that we'll have the opportunity to see. I think his floor is that he can be a very high-level backup, but if that's the case, he'd probably go back to Europe than be Tomas Stenarowski. But I think he can be a very serviceable starter in the NBA, in my opinion. Wrote these a little bit. I'm not as high as Mateus Bazulis. Everyone's saying that he could be Franz Wagner. I just think that's just such a lazy comparison. He's got some good shot blocking ability at his size, and he can handle the rock. But I just think, look, with him, he can improve as an on-ball defender. I'm not sold as much on him, but I think he's got the skill and everything is there, and I think he's worthy of a lottery pick. I rather take Cody Williams. I'd rather have Ron Holland. All right, Cody Williams, he's that 6'8" guy that you want. He's got two-way potential. His brother being in the NBA already and know what he is. It's just the maturation process and just getting stronger is what he needs to do. But being able to shoot well, be big, I think is huge. Again, he needs to be in the weight room, but I think his 6'8", if he can get more consistent, can be good. Now, Rob Dillion's been a guy who's flying up the boards. A lot of people like him, but he's small as hell, but he's making it work. And as we get closer, I think people defensively, he's not going to be able to guard anyone. He's being compared to Trae Young. As I've said, I think he's a guy who's going to come off the bench and could be a scoreboard. And I think the idea is that he could follow in the footsteps of either Tyrese Maxey or Emmanuel quickly. Now, Jacoby Walter, this is a defensive guy. When I look at him, he's got plus wingspan. He's a athletic guy. I just see kind of a similar player to Al Burks when I see Jacoby Walter. Seriously. Okay. Guy who's got some game offensively, can be good defensively, even though Al Burks isn't that great defensively. I just think there's a lot there. We're going to run through this a little quicker. Sheppard, he's literally just a 3-and-D beast. Honestly, he's like the sick. I think I've been saying he reminds me of Kirk Heinrich. Okay. I think his ability to, I know some people are going to say Austin Reeves, but his ability to be like a defensive dog while also being such a good three-point shooter, he's going to go top 5. I love Kyle Filipowski. He's that 7-footer, or kind of reminds me of Nas Reed. Could be a guy who's like a 3-and-D guy. I know some people are going to say Kelly Olynyk right here, but they're both some shooters who can do a little bit of everything. Ron Holland's been the guy we've been saying that he's like Gerald Wallace. The offensive game is going to be questionable, but that motor and the ability to do a little bit of everything's awesome. And offensively, they're saying that if he does work out, he could be offensively similar to Karis LeVert. I think that's low-hanging fruit. Jonathan Clean is a guy that I really like. He reminds me of Jakob Poeltl. And some people are saying he's got some Zubac, Walker Kessler in there. I think he's a very fun guy to watch, and he's got some size, and he knows how to move well with that size. Yves Messi is a guy who's supposedly 2 or 3 years away from being a huge, impactful player, but I know some people are going to say that he's that Clint Capella build that everyone's desiring. Tijan Saloon is a guy that physically reminds me of like Rui Hachimura, 6'9", 6'8", super jacked, super ripped, athletic. He's going to be a guy who's going to muscle his way, and I think there's multiple ways that you go offensively. Tobias Harris, Rui Hachimura, I think are very good comparisons for him and his physique. Then you got yourself Isaiah Collier. The size and the play style is what people like, and I think they're the turnover tendencies, and I just think there's too many questions for him to be a top pick. You got Stephen Gasol, who's kind of sliding down the board, but people still love his defense. He's big. The biggest question with him is his three-point shot, and like, what is he, a wing or a guard? Kevin McCullough got hurt, but dude, the guy's literally almost a 20-point per game scorer while also dishing out a bunch of assists. Yeah, he's 23 years old, and I think him being able to shoot better has, and like his impact to be an instant player in the NBA is what's calling teams. Devin Carter is somebody people are saying like it looks like Derek White. He's Anthony Carter's son. So I think him being, an NBA player's son and just being a defensive guy that he is awesome. Dalton Netch isn't Netch? No, Neck. Something like that. Dalton. Someone told me it's not how it looks. I think Neck. But Dalton's a guy that I really like. I think he's a shooter and a scorer that's shown. He's got size and a bit more athleticism than you would think. Tyler Smith's someone I really like, and he's shown that he can be impactful at the NBA level, that his long-term potential is probably the best out of everybody. I do like him. He's got some great size. Jared McCain, He's just a three-point shooter, and those are valuable. Ryan Dunn's like the defensive guy of this draft. The difference between him and Herb Jones is I think Herb Jones had more offensive potential. DJ Wagner is the Juan Wagner's son, and at times, I think he's kind of like the Cole Anthony of this draft, where he could develop over time and become a better player. Bobby Clement's a guy I really like. He's a 7-foot, wingspan on a 6'10" frame. He could be a combo forward, or he could maybe be like kind of worst case scenario, like a Trey Lyles combo big if we think. Khalil Ware has the potential to be like this 3-and-D big who blocks shots and, puts up 3-point balls. And I mean, we've seen him put 20 and 10, so he's very fun. Ethan Almanso was like one of the greatest international prospects of all time. He's kind of fallen into grace, but people still like him. He's got a good rebounding ability. He's a bit right-hand dominant, but I think the motor on is what people like. Trevon Brazile is a guy who, overcoming the ACL injury, and he's just, I think, been impactful. One of those college bigs that, like, people think could be instant impact performer, like, similar to with the next guy who's Zach Edey, which I get the appeal, but, yeah, that's what you're thinking when you look at these guys. Dylan Jones is a guy I met at the Combine last year, and he's a dog. He can do a little bit of everything. He can follow that David Roddy, Royce O'Neal build. Johnny Furphy is a 6'9" Australian guy that he is kind of like a wing. Some people are saying very Grady Dickish. I agree, and he's been a guy who's just popped off, and he should enter the draft this year because of how good he is. Then you got Tyler Kolek, who's basically the best point guard in college, and his ability to just do a little bit of everything. He's just someone that seems like he is the dog in him to make it in the NBA. Melvin Ajinka is Alexis Ajinka's nephew. He's got some solid size, and he's a guy that I think could be like an energy role player. Maybe like worst case scenario, he becomes a similar player to Jay Crowder. Keyshawn George, shout out UM. He's a 6'8" shooter who's got size from Switzerland, and he's got good defensive traits. I really like him. Tristan Da Silva's brother plays in Europe now, but Da Silva's a good, I think kind of like a Larry Nance build, and I think he could have an impact in the NBA. OC's fallen down, but he's a good impact guy who I think, similar to like Trace Jackson Davis, could come in. Jalen Tyson's a guy that some people really like. He's on his third school, but he's a guy who can do a little bit of everything. He's a good three-point shooter. Adem Bona's just huge and can finish everything and block shots. Aldrich Comanche is a guy that people are raving about in the Basketball African League. And then Ugonna Onyensu is like this freak athlete, kind of like a Bismack Biyombo build, but bigger, out of Kentucky. You got a Jay Mitchell, who's a good shooting guard out of Santa Barbara to keep an eye on. And then you got Keyshawn Johnson, Pele Larson, PJ Hall, Terrence Shannon, which, Terrence Shannon is over here. I don't know what's going on with the case there, but you guys can let me know. Harrison Ingram, then KJ Simpson, Gary Judah Mintz, Aaron Bradshaw, Baylor Shireman, Alex Caravan, Deron Holmes, who should be higher, Justin Edwards, Carlton Carrington, Tyrese Proctor, Trey Alexander. A lot of these guys were lottery picks at one point. Ariel Hakaporty. Then you got yourselves Pacom Dadit, Hunter Salas, Wooga Poplar, Marco Jackson, Kobe Johnson, and that's ER 2024 aggregate mock draft. Let me know your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that's what we got for right now. Just chilling.